Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our webinar series on the new features, a deep dive into our new features. So today I have Sharon and myself that will be your host, and we will go through the new features released in our recent update. So the agenda for today is very simple. We will first introduce to you how and why you should use each of the features, and we do a simple demonstration on each of them using our Enterpryze platform. At the end of the session, we'll actually have a Q&A. If you have any questions, please feel free to put into the chat box at the bottom of the screen. So for today, for myself, I will go through first the quality control of batch traceability, the PEPO and AP automation, which allows you to easily send and receive invoices from your customers and suppliers, collect payment using mCollect POS. Basically, it's a mobile application which allows you to collect payment on the spot, different currencies available for the Singapore localization. My colleague Sharon will then cover on the new features, the new dashboards, sales, purchase, banking dashboard with for email, and the budgets, targets, and how you can actually copy from purchase request to purchase order with a click of a button right now. And our final new feature will be the gross profit calculation by price list. So let me get started. The first feature that we'll be covering today will be the batch traceability feature. This feature is for you if you are in the wholesale, manufacturing, or even trading industry. Basically, if you require to track batch numbers or even expiry dates, this is for you. So basically, Enterpryze allows you now to track and add batch numbers in each different item group. And then you can pull out reports such as availability, expiry date, traceability, or even sales report. So all this will be available for you, and you can use it to save your time in terms of tracking your items. So this will help you if, let's say, you require a recall of certain batch products. This will help you to do it in the fastest way possible. And it also provides you the analytics to determine which suppliers provide you the highest quality features or materials itself. So now what I'll do is I will share a screen and I will go to my Enterpryze web app. So in my Enterpryze web app, to access the batch traceability feature, what you need to do is simply to click into items. And in our items module, you will be able to find this batch traceability features at the far right, top right corner of the screen. So first I'll go into the batch traceability report. And in this batch traceability report, what it allows you to do is basically to find the different items that you have in the different batches. So for example, when I do a search here, I search for almond nuts, and in my almond nuts, I have 5 different batches, and these 5 batches have different expiry date. So this first batch availability shows me the quantity that I have in each batch. And then I can go to the next page, which is the batch expiry report, which allows me to track the expiry of my batches. So in this case, if let's say I want to see which almond nuts is going to expire by the end of the month, I can actually click 31st August, which is the end of the month, and click search. What this does is it pulls out from the system the expiry date of this batch that is going to expire by 29th, which is in a few days' time. So what I'll do in this case is I will quickly sell off the 18 almond nuts left, maybe even at a discounted price, to make sure that all this batch does not expire and I have a sunk cost in the lost goods. So next, I'll go to the batch traceability report. This allows me to quickly pull out the report on my batches. So in this case, if I want to trace where AD001 for almond nuts is, I can actually have a full report on the delivery status, the goods receipts, and the total quantity that is moving in and out of my different warehouses at each point of time. So this is our batch traceability report. And the last report that I'll be talking about is the sales report, which allows you to, for example, now I will track almond nuts again. And here it will be able to find out the different batches, when they are sold, and which invoice number they are tagged to. Okay, so this is our new and latest batch traceability feature. Let me go back to the PowerPoint slide, and I will jump to the next feature. So the second feature that we have released is our PEPO and AP automation. So what this does is it allows you to connect to the PEPO network, which is an international network that has many countries around the world already on PEPO. So what Enterpryze does is it allows you to connect through the PEPO network and send e-invoices to companies all around the world. So why it helps in your convenience, and it also ensures the accuracy of your invoices. So what this does is it allows you to, for example, you have partners or suppliers from China, from India, from United States, from Singapore even, and you want to send an invoice across, you no longer need to go through the tedious process of making a phone call. You can just simply request the invoice directly from their system sent into your Enterpryze account. So that's where all the accounts payable will be then updated, and your stocks and goods will also be updated accordingly. So let me show you a very quick demonstration on the web app, how you can do this feature. So to activate PEPO, first you can go into your companies, and under companies, for example, now I want to send an invoice to my customer Agility Private Limited. I can click Agility Private Limited and I will edit. On the top right corner, there's an edit button, and I will activate the PEPO for this customer. So at the UEN number, you will be able to key in the company's UEN number, which is the unique identification number of the company. So let's say, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 W. Then I will be able to tick this checkbox, and the system will run through to see whether this customer is registered on the PEPO network already. If yes, it will show that it's found. If not, then it will tell you that it's not found, which is the case for this. So once you have activated customer on PEPO, what you need to do is simply go to sales module to generate your invoice as how you always do it. And then when you click new sales invoice items, you'll be able to then go to the item creation, invoice creation page where you can select your customer. So for example, in this case, I will select Best Medical, which has already activated PEPO. So once I select Best Medical, I will be able to see this send to PEPO checkbox here. So if I want to send it directly through PEPO, I can actually tick this checkbox, and when I save this invoice, it will automatically send through PEPO to the system itself. Okay, so this is our PEPO integration. Let me go to the next feature that we have, which is our M-Collect POS. What this does, it allows you to quickly collect payment on the go using your mobile application itself. So M-Collect POS will create a dynamic QR code. This is currently available in Singapore and Malaysia. In Singapore, it will create a Pay Now QR code, and in Malaysia, it will create a Do It Now QR code. So what this does is it allows you to create digital invoices and present them to your customer, do real-time digital money collection, and then to have notifications once the payment is processed. In addition, we also have this Stripe feature, which comes along with your customer portal. You can actually allow your customers to make payment using credit card through this customer portal itself. So why M-Collect? Because M-Collect POS will allow you a more efficient, a cost-effective way, and also allows for contactless and instant point of sale over your mobile phone itself. So you do not need to have a big POS system. You can actually enable all your salesperson or delivery person to carry their own mobile app with this M-Collect POS app, and they will be able to collect the payment on the go for you. So let me share with you a screen of my mobile, and this is our M-Collect application. So in the M-Collect application, you can actually go to the top burger menu on the left here, and you will be able to see the different features in this burger menu. What I'll do is I'll go into settings. So in the settings, you'll be able to see a few tabs. The first one being companies. In the companies tab, you'll be able to update your company details, and these details will then be populated in your invoice itself. The next one is users, where you can add additional users for your different salesperson or delivery person on the road. So each of them can actually have an account, and you will be able to have an audit trail and a track on who generated which invoice for which customers and who created how much, who collected how much for today. So you'll be able to do this all in reports. And then you can also create branches, multiple branches, if let's say you have different shops at different locations. So this is one thing that is useful for you in the settings. And here I will jump straight into the sales invoice, where I will show you how this works. So at the sales invoice, you can actually click into sales invoice, and then it will bring you to the sales invoice creation page, where you can then select the buyer account. So this is a drop-down list of customers that you have. For example, in this case, I am selling something to Alan. Alan is the buyer. I can actually include the customer reference description. For example, Alan wants to buy cupcake. So I can actually type in cupcake, and it's a box of 20. So it's 20 cupcakes for a total of $50. As I scroll down, so here I can actually include any tips that the customer Alan wants to give me, or any discount that I want to give customer. If there is a tax, I can include the tax. If not, I can actually put it as 0%. And then I will be able to select who is the user. So in this case, let's say, for example, the user is Rose. So Rose is on the road selling this cupcake to Alan. I can actually put this as Rose and then add any remarks if necessary. If not, I can actually click pay. And when I click pay, it will prompt me whether I want to take it as a pay now QR code payment or a cash payment. So if I click on pay now, it will immediately generate for me a dynamic QR code. And this dynamic QR code is tagged to this invoice number and tagged to this specific amount, $53.50, which means that when customer scans this QR code, they will not make a mistake to pay the wrong person, to pay the wrong amount. For example, a missing zero or an additional decimal point. So here, once customer scans, it will close, it will have a green tick, and then it will close this application altogether. So once customer has paid, so let's say customer has paid, then I will be able to go back to the home screen, where I will be able to see the list of transactions that I have made. So in this case, there is an invoice for $53.50 from Alan, and then Alan has made the payment. So all these are automated. And in fact, the additional bonus that you can see from this application is that once customer pay using the dynamic pay now QR code, it automatically triggers your live bank feed in Enterprise, and you will be able to do automatic bank reconciliation because each of the QR code has a transaction ID itself tagged to the QR code. Okay, so let me go to the next feature. Okay, the last feature that I will be talking about here before I hand over to Sharon to share with you more other features is the currencies for Singapore localization. So in Singapore, some of our customers actually requested that they want to do their accounting in US dollars. So in this case, we have added a new localization which allows for US dollars to be added to be as a base currency for your accounting. So here, what this means is that we have a chart of accounts, we have our finances reporting all in your chosen currency, whether it's SGD or USD, and you will be able to use this feature under the Singapore localization. Okay, so let me just do a quick sharing of my screen application. Okay, so in my web application here, when I go to the banking module, you will be able to see the different foreign exchange rate at the bottom. And at this foreign exchange rate here, whenever you set your system rate, which is the book value, it will populate on the system rate. And then the bank rate will be the UOB transaction foreign exchange rate. So you'll be able to have a quick overview of this transaction rate, and all this will be automatically calculated according to the base currency, whether it's in USD or in Sing dollars for you. So now I will hand over the time to Sharon, which will share with you more about the different dashboard that we have and also the different other features available for you. Sharon, please.
Great. Thanks a million, Zinni. That was fantastic. Thank you for that. And good morning and good evening, everybody, wherever you're located today. So let me just share my screen with you and we'll continue the presentation. So just jumping here to the first of my presentations. So this is the feature on the sales and purchasing dashboards. So we've launched dashboards to enable you to see more valuable information on your business performance and KPIs within your sales and purchases modules. And it's very, very simple in that we've enabled this against each user in the user settings. So for each user, you can identify if or not they can actually see the dashboards. So how does it benefit you? Well, obviously it's visual information readily available at your fingertips. So it's real time. So rather than having to manually run some of the reports, you'll see that you can see revenue and expenses right in front of you on a day-to-day basis. So easy access at all times. And access to, of course, relevant graphs and KPIs, and particularly purchase by product group and sales by product group. So I've confirmed there to why use it. So it's, where you can easily keep track of your business operations and performance and make insights and business decisions based on your sales and purchase reports. So basically keeping an eye on your revenue and expenses. So let's just jump right in and I'll share my screen with you here. Let me just sign back in for you there. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to enable this for the user. And like I've said, it's incredibly easy to do so. So up here in your settings menu, very simply come down to user settings. And then for each user that you require that user to see so if we come down here to the
Oh, sorry, Sharon, I think you have to share your
company.
screen. Your screen hasn't shared from the PowerPoint.
Okay, sorry guys, apologies. There we go.
Perfect.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. So let's back in here again to user settings. So if we look here at the user permissions, and if we look across here, we can see that on the sales, you have an option here for the dashboard. So it's at the very top of the list there for sales. And the same again down here for purchase. So you can see there we haven't enabled one here for purchase. So we simply just click on the dashboard for purchase and simply scroll down to the bottom here and save the permissions for that user. So now if you look in your menu and go across here to sales on the left-hand side of the screen, and you will see here against the dashboard, all of the relevant information has appeared. So just as a quick overview here, you can see that it generates first and foremost the sales revenue. From here, we can run a filter to look at the sales revenue for a specific period, whether that's for this month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whether the value is revenue or gross profit. And we could also look at that by product group or salesperson. Within here on the sales KPI, we can see the total value for open quotes, open orders, open deliveries, open returns, depending on the package that you have. Here on the right-hand side, we will have PDF reports becoming available to you here within the dashboard. And moving on down, then you can also see, well, how are my customers performing? So what are my top sales? Who are my top sales? What revenue are those customers generating? So again, we can run a filter on those customers to see, again, for this month or 3 weeks or 6 weeks or 12 weeks, and whether that value is by revenue or gross profit. And again, you can do the sales by customer, or if you want to see how your sales reps are performing, again, we can apply the filters here. In the middle of the screen here, we can see the sales by product group. Again, we can look to see if that is by revenue or gross profit. So these are just your ranking, your performance within your product group. So if stock is important to you and you've categorized those stock items, particularly in the inventory or ERP package, you can see how those groups are performing. We do also provide the sales by product group in the accounting package because we do provide categories for your service items. So you will be able to see the performance here by those categories. And then here on the bottom right, we just show you any activities. So any relevant sales activities that you might have scheduled for your customers, whether that's for today, for tomorrow, or next week. And of course, the same with the home screen, you can add an activity from here. So jumping then to the purchasing dashboard. The same thing applies with the purchasing dashboard. So with the purchasing dashboard, you can see the purchase costs. Again, we can run a filter on those costs to see what they are maybe for this month or 3 months, 6 months, whatever time frame that you require. Again, the purchase KPI. And again, with the KPI and the same with the sales, we can click on the 3 buttons here and define what transactions to show on the KPI. Again, purchase reports, we will have a selection of PDF reports coming, and there is a separate reports menu here as well that you can access. Scrolling down then to the top purchases, again, how are our suppliers performing? So again, we can run a filter to see how well the top purchases are, or the sales employees, and who's performing best in terms of buy within our users. So the purchases by user, or we can do it by supplier. And again, purchases by product group. So again, we can run that by the value. So by running it by value, we get to see, well, in terms of the products that we purchase, you know, what kind of value are we buying within those purchase groups? And that will be ranked and listed here also. And again, you have access to the My Activities. So at all times, even through your home screen and your dashboards, you're getting an overview of activity and performance right throughout the company, whether that's at a sales level or an expenditure and purchasing level. So just moving back to the presentation here. So next on the list, and most importantly now, this is very relevant, of course, to EMEA and of course to everybody else in APJ. We have the banking dashboard and bank feed integration. So what we've been able to do with the banking dashboard is obviously allow all users, whether that's APJ, Ireland, UK, or US bank accounts, to do better business and banking within Enterprise. So we're giving you visibility to your bank feed and the details within the Enterprise bank feed. So we enable you to integrate to your bank account. So for example, in Ireland, Bank of Ireland, Ulster Bank, UK, any of the UK bank accounts, any of the US bank accounts, you can link up directly to those bank accounts. And what you would normally see, for example, when you log in to your bank account online, you will now have access to those transactions as a feed, as a live feed into Enterprise. So what does that enable you to do? Well, obviously it gives you visibility of your banking activity. It enables you then to keep track of cash flow and any of your bank transactions through the dashboard. And of course, enables you then to proceed and do your bank reconciliations, which enables you to bring the two systems in line with the bank feed and the system transactions in Enterprise and reconcile the two together. So let's take a look at what this looks like and how simple it is to get your bank feed up and running. So let me just share my screen again. Let's jump right over to Enterprise. Okay. So looking here, this happens to be an ERP company. And just to let those users know who are perhaps only, for example, if you're invoice and pay, just to show you even in an invoice and pay company, that you also have access to the banking dashboard, because perception might be from what I've said to you there that it's only exclusive to those in ERP. And the answer is no, it's available for everybody. So we're giving it to you for everybody. So right through from invoice and pay to the accounting, to inventory and ERP package. So let's just go back to the first demonstration there and let's go back into banking. So through the banking dashboard, what you enable you to do is to see your bank feed and your bank transactions. We'll just wait for this to refresh. Apologies that it's not quicker than normal. So just give that a moment or two to refresh. So under the bank transactions feed, what will appear here, if you have connected to your bank account, so whether that's UOB or whether that's any of the banks from UK, Ireland, or the US, your bank feed transactions will then appear here in this column. The connections to those bank accounts are made through the accounts tile, which is here. Then on the right-hand side of the screen here under bank balance, you will get to see the balance, which is relevant to your system bank account. And your system bank account is the bank account within Enterprise. And then, of course, here you can filter to see whether you see a specific bank account, all bank accounts, and you can see here all of my 6 have been selected. In the middle of the screen here, which I think that you've seen obviously with Sinyi, you can see the system balance versus the bank balance. So the system balance again is the balance within Enterprise, and the bank balance will be the balance that represents the balance coming in from your bank feed for each account. Again, we will have further bank reports coming through PDF option. And again, down here on the bottom, which again Zinyi has confirmed, you can see all your foreign exchange rates. So from here, you can add any missing currencies. From here, you can see, for example, a few of the currencies, we have the system rates. So this is your book rate. This is the rate that you've defined within Enterprise will appear here under the system rate. And any bank rates then coming directly from the bank. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to, just so that there's no confusion, I'm just going to, bear with me, switch to another company. And the reason for this is that we're unable to show you an absolute live feed. So I'm just going to show you this screen here on this particular company. And what we've been able to do on this particular company is bring the live feed in. So this is what the live feed is. For anybody that's familiar with the UOB live feed, you're used to seeing incoming and outgoing payments coming through the system here on the bank transactions feed. For those in UK, Ireland, and the US, this is an idea of what the bank feed is going to look like. So you can imagine your bank account, you log in online, you see your bank transactions. In some cases, all transactions have been approved by the bank, and in some cases, transactions are pending. We also take care of those as well. So even pending transactions will show here because they're relevant to your bank balance, although they won't necessarily affect the bank reconciliation. So straight away, you can see the difference of the screen in the middle here. You can see that we've got a system balance, but we've also got a bank balance. So for each of the accounts that we've linked up, we've got a relevant bank balance. Let me quickly just go through to the accounts tab. And I just want to quickly show you the difference here in the accounts tab for the UK, Ireland, and US. So the grid is displayed very differently here. What it shows me here, and particularly in these two columns, if I have a live bank feed connection, we have a green for go. So it shows me when the last received transaction was done for this particular bank. We also have the balance. So that's the feed that's coming through for that particular bank. If the bank is no longer connected, you can see the feed reverts to red. So when we're doing a bank connection, I just want to quickly show you here how quickly and easy it is when you go through the agree and proceed to integrate Enterprise with Plaid. Let's just bring up the next screen. And this will just confirm the information that will be shared between the two systems, which you can expand upon, and you can check out further terms and conditions here. Click and continue. And this is how simple it is, guys. All you have to do is select your bank. And this is important. You need to type it in here to the search box to type in your bank account. And the reason being is that you get the right selection. So for example, for Bank of Ireland within Ireland, you can see that it's multiple available. So you might have a personal account and a business account, but you want to make sure that you hook up to your business account. So this is important that you type in the search for the bank account so that you get the relevant bank account options. And it really is that simple. So that's your bank feed and your bank dashboards. So moving back to the presentation, let me just share that for you now. And if we move on, we have budgets and targets. So with budgets and targets, what we've been able to do is to allow you to measure performance against a budget or a target. So why would you want to do that? Why would you want to put in a budget or a target? So for example, if you want to monitor expenditure within your company to see what money is being spent within a particular area, why not, we all stick to budgets in some shape or form, whether that's buying online, whether that's going on holidays, we all know what it is we need to spend. Well, why not be able to keep an eye on that spend within your accounting system? Put in the value, what you know you want to be able to spend, let's say, for example, within a given month, within a given year, and then through your profit and loss report, track that expenditure, track what's happening within those accounts and compare the two amounts to see, well, actually, am I within budget or have I exceeded budget? Well, that maybe next year, you might have to spend a little bit more money, whether that's on marketing or light and heat or electricity. And of course, particularly over the last 12 months, we've all discovered that, expenditure has changed for a lot of companies because we've all had to change how we work. We're working remotely. So costs perhaps have reduced. So maybe your budget can reduce as well. So you can see that you can simply track that information then within Enterprise. So you get to set up, date ranges can be set up to 3 years in the future. The columns can be completely collapsed and expanded for easy filtering. Time periods can be defined. You can distribute across periods, which I've mentioned. You can just do ad hoc, whether you want to do this month and then 2 or 3 months time and put in a value for that. Perhaps there's an expenditure that's only relevant once a year. You can copy last year's budgets to this year. And I've mentioned already that there's a compare box within the P&L report for comparison purposes. So let's jump right in and let's just share that screen with you. And what we'll do is, I'll just share that now. Okay, so very simply, within the accounting module under budgets and targets. So what will happen here is when you click onto budgets and targets, the first thing that will appear is your chart of accounts. So this is the chart of accounts that you're familiar with here under the accounting module. So in accounting, chart of accounts, this is exactly the same list of those GL accounts. So this is what we mean by collapse and expand. So this is where you click on the arrow here to collapse or expand a certain category or drawer within your GL accounts. So for example, I can collapse the cost of sales, I can go down to liabilities, or I can come down further here to see where all my expenditures are. So for example, wages and salaries, staff expenses, operating expenses. These are just familiar categories that everybody is familiar with. So if I want to very simply start off by, defining a budget, what I can do here is I can define first and foremost my period. What date ranges this budget is going to be relevant for. I can put in my dates from and to. I can apply filters up here also, and I can scroll down then to the relevant GL accounts, and I can decide, well, actually, for accommodation, we're going to allow up to, for example, 50,000. And what I can do then is, if I hit the tab key, what that will do is, because it's in the total column, it will split the 50,000 across those 12 periods, because as you can see here at the top, I've gone from January 21 to December 21. So all I'm doing is very simply splitting the amount for that particular GL account. I can otherwise come into a specific GL account, decide, well, actually, I don't have a total for it, but I know this month it's going to be 5,000. I know next month, definitely it's only going to be, 2,000. So I can decide as I go along what those amounts are going to be. It's that simple. And as you can see, as I define a period or define amount for a period for a GL account, the total then, of course, recalculates. So if I scroll back up here to the top of the screen, it's very simple. What can I do next? So from here, I can, of course, there's actions here, which are always available in all your grids. So for example, if I want to export the data to Excel, so if I want to take a record of what those budgets are and what I've input into the system, I can simply export it to Excel. So you have a record of those then somewhere else, particularly if you need to analyze further reports in-house. Otherwise, I can click on Save. When I click on Save, I can say, give it a name, so new budget for 2021. Click on Save. Budget has been saved. Fantastic. And now it's done. And how do I access that budget again? Well, it's very simple. All I have to do is go to Previous Budgets. Very simply then click on the budget in question, click on More, and either I can open it, I can duplicate it, I can delete it. So if I click on Open, you can see there that it's into that particular period. If I scroll down to those particular GL accounts, I can look to amend those specific GL accounts again. So what I'd have to do there is I can expand all or collapse all as I require and come down to those GLs and make any particular amendments I wish. So for example, if I want to change that to 3,000 instead, and to update that, and very simply, of course, save. Now there is an option here to spread selected evenly. So I can choose an amount, put in the amount and spread it evenly across a particular GL account. But we've seen how you can do that manually as well, but you can also automatically do that from here. There are filters that you can apply. So within a date range, you can proceed and apply the filters for that particular date range and click on Save. So what happens next? So that's the budgets all entered. So through the profit and loss report, which I've mentioned, so this is where you can get the comparison then to your budget. So I can tick this box here. So if we just expand all on the P&L, so you can see what the columns currently stand at. And if I now tick this option here to compare to the budget, and if I specify which budget that is, so select my budget, so I'll go for this year, perfect, and I can see apply that. So then it'll show me where relevant for the GLs, whether that's turnover, cost of sales, or expenditure, which you can see down here. So you can see what the actual budget is versus any movement that has gone through the GL account. That will come up on the system. So it's that simple. So that's the value of the budget. So let me just go back to the presentation, come back and share that for you. So moving on, then we have an option here for purchase request attachments and approvals. So purchase requests, with purchase requests, these are more or less requests that you want your employees to make internal requests. For example, maybe they want to purchase stationery or a new laptop, which is obviously a bigger spend, or various different in-house purchases that they require to do their job. That's really why we've given you the purpose of a purchase request, to enable those requests. But of course, you as the manager, or you as the owner of the company, want to be able to approve those requests. But what we've also done then is allowed the user to add an attachment to that request, so that it makes it easier for you as the approver to identify, well, why do they need it? What exactly is it for? And have they received a quote from the supplier? And perhaps they will need to attach relevant information to make that spend easier for you to identify and approve. And of course, you can now also bring your purchase request to a purchase order. So before, we used to be only able to add a purchase request and it remained as a request. Now, once it's been approved, the user can take it from a request to a purchase order. So the benefit of that, it's extra information, so it gets approved faster. So it saves time then copying or creating a purchase order from scratch from the information, because it's already contained within the request. So let me just share my screen again, and let's go back to Enterprise. So if we go in here to purchasing, and I'm going to just jump right back to our other company and come in here to purchasing. And you can see there we have our auto logout as well is occurring. So let me just log back in. Apologies, guys. Just a little bit of a technical difficulty. It seems to be just because I've been doing too much changing on screen. Just bear with me now 1 second, and we'll get you back on board. Okay, I'm just going to stop the share there just for 1 second while I fix the issue here in the background. Just bear with me now 1 second. And we'll get you right back in to Enterprise. Hope you're enjoying this presentation so far and learning something new that's going to gain benefit to you and your business. Just bear with me there now. We are jumping right back in. So I'm just going to, excellent, okay. Okay, great. Okay, let me just share the screen again with you now, and we'll jump right back into Enterprise. Nothing like a good old technical difficulty to stop things in their tracks. So here we are back in Enterprise. So jumping right back in there to purchasing. And if we go to the request here, so what I can do is, let's just go into requests. So I can drill into an existing request. So for example, a new purchase request draft, you can see here that it's going to put in a draft. So for example, if I add a line, and let's say it's like to order more stationery, and click on save. And you can see here we can edit the details, and you can see here we can put in remarks and comments. We can click on save, and we can go to add a line. We can choose the product and we can specify what that is. I'm just going to say that's the backpack here for this particular request. And let me just put in a value for that. And okay that. Excellent. Okay. And let's click on save. And that's our purchase request added. And save again. Yeah, so approver must approve this document. Okay, so let me just select the approver. And okay, so the approver hasn't come up there for this one. Okay, that's okay. Let's go back to the requests and let's go to the approved request. And let's drill right in. And you can see here down at the bottom, we can add in our attachment here at the bottom. So we can select a file or drop a file in here to put in the attachment. Up at the top of the screen then, we can copy to a purchase order. So the details of this particular purchase request, which you can see is for the same backpack, we can now copy to a purchase order. So once it's been approved by the approver, we can copy to a purchase order. And now this becomes a live order in the system, which we can specify which supplier then. So let me just specify our supplier, and then we can click on save. And of course, we can email that then, of course, to our supplier so that the order goes through, and it's that simple. So all the way through from purchase request now to purchase order, the user has more control, but you've also got control over your expenditure by doing the approval in the first place, which are handled through here under the approvals tab. So if I just take off this data here so that we can see the transactions that have come through for approval. So you can see here there's multiple requests waiting to be approved or rejected. There's purchase orders as well that are waiting to be approved and rejected. So this is all done through your settings options in the advanced purchases within the ERP system. And that's applicable whether it's EMEA or APJ, that you can do both of those. So let me just go back to the presentation, guys, and that's the purchase request attachments and approvals. And last but not least is the gross profit calculations by price list. So very simply, we've always allowed the gross profit calculations, and this is on your ERP system. But what we are now enabling you to do is an additional option to run those calculations by price list. So your gross profit. So when you're inputting in a sales invoice and there's a gross profit calculation that takes place on that invoice, if you're using the ERP system, you will have specified on the system under the settings option for sales and CRM, whether that calculation is done by, or if you do use the calculation, if it is enabled, whether that's done by purchase price, cost price, but now we've given you the option to select a specific price list. So if you have the gross profit calculation enabled, you can now choose a specific price list. So of course, it gives more efficiency, the level in production, and obviously the profit left after the cost of sales. So let me just jump straight over to Enterprise just to show you how this is enabled through the system. So as this is ERP, through the settings option into module settings, and then under sales and CRM, this is where if this button is already enabled, enable gross profit calculation is ticked. The cost for the gross profit calculations, you can see here, last price, moving average, actual, cost price, or, but this is the new option, for price list. And what that does is it gives further drop downs. And through here, you can choose the relevant cost price list and the secondary calculation for the gross profit calculation to be calculated on, and save. And then what this means then when you come through then to your sales invoices. So let me just come through to your sales invoices and just bring up an invoice there to show you. And again, just to show all, because it's only showing my transactions. So let's just drill into an open invoice there. And then if we expand on the line down here, so if there was any gross profit calculations, this is where you would see them against the specific items, depending, of course, on the relevant price list that you've linked up to those particular items. So again, any price list that you choose is based on the relevant price that you've allocated to those particular items. But this is where it shows you the gross profit calculations if you enable the calculations then in settings. So it's that simple, guys. So that's the last of the presentations there for the new features. I hope you've managed to find out something new that will help benefit your business as you go through using Enterpryze on a day-to-day basis. Do check out all our social media channels. You can see they're all listed here. Facebook and of course YouTube channel, and most importantly we're on a webinar today, so of course the engage.enterpryze.com. do subscribe to the webinar channel and make sure you're up to date with all up and coming webinars that could be relevant to your business or for somebody else that perhaps you've recommended Enterpryze to. And also don't forget to check out all other resource channels such as the YouTube channel. We have all the Academy videos, which are the how-to videos, and the help center, help.enterpryze.com. And of course, our wonderful support chat where our support colleagues are there to help you out on a day-to-day basis. So thank you for watching, and we would love to hear from you if you have any questions. So I'm just going to check out the chat here to see if any questions have come through, and I can see that they have. Hi Sharon, for budgets and targets, can we get the differences amount between the budgets and actual? So from the differences, can we get the variance differences? And all of these can be done month to month and year to date comparison. And can all of these be done month to month and year to date comparison? Apologies. So just to answer that question for you, can we get the differences amount between the budgets and the actual? Well, what the P&L report will do is it will show both. It will show the budget and it will show the actual. So what you can do then is export that to Excel to generate your difference. So although it doesn't show the variance or the actual difference in the column on the profit and loss report, you can very simply export that to Excel and get the information very easily and very quickly. In terms of, can all of these be done month to month and year to date comparison? So you saw that in terms of the profit and loss report, you can specify that from month to month or year to year. So when you're running the report, you specify your date criteria that you require, and that's where it will look and compare the information for you. So then again, you can export that information then to analyze further. And thank you for that question. And the second question here we have for the gross profit calculations. Does this replace the manual base cost? No, it doesn't. If it does, can it be shown in the sales margin report? So no, it doesn't replace the manual base cost. What it does is it just gives you an extra layer of gross profit calculation for the invoice. So what you're doing there is you're specifying whether to show the gross profit, whether it's based on base price or whether it's based on purchase price or a particular price list, and that's all you're doing with regards to the gross profit calculations. Anyone else have any further questions? It's great to help you out, guys, and I hope you've all learned something since. And of course, don't be concerned that anything that we've been able to answer for you that you've seen here, of course, in the webinar, we'll be sending you the recording, so you'll be able to retrieve and watch over the information again. And of course, with the help resources as well, you'll get access to all of this information. And of course, don't forget our guys on the support chat will be able to help you out, or simply talk to your account manager if you want to know more information. That's no problem at all. You're very welcome, guys, and it was great to have you all on board today. Again, thanking you from wherever you are this morning and of course this evening in EMEA and APJ, and thanking you for joining myself and Xin Yi. It's been great to have you on board, and would love to see you all again on the next. Look out for the next new features. We will have continuing webinars, and either that will be at the end of September or beginning of October, but do join us again and we look forward to helping you out. Thanks, Xin Yi, for being here as well. And guys, we wish you a great rest of day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.